But I didn't realize it was, at least at this point, it is, I guess, an annual publication. But what a cool, almost like the Time Person of the Year thing for the world of dirt. If it's truly going to remain an annual publication, that's going to mean something if you make it into the publication, to the subject matter,
It can, and I would hope so. I would hope that it's kind of weird to even think about that, but I'm glad that people enjoy it, and I'm glad that people want to be in it. I've struggled often with diehard fans of the old Dusty Times who wonder why we don't have more off-road
race results.
Race results and all that. I have to sit them down and,
it's at the click of your finger.
Yeah. Stroke them on their shoulder and remind them that there's, something called the internet these days. Nobody gives a shit what happened at a race 5 months ago. So it was one of the things that I said that I would probably be perfectly happy if we went a while without showing a single trophy truck inside the pages, that there's enough of that stuff on the internet, and that, really we wanted to turn over some rocks and show some things and tell some stories that you wouldn't get in a little more depth, definitely, in the beautiful form of ink on paper, and also try to make it as tactile as possible, being that we're going to convince people to try and buy a magazine, a book, that it better be just the best printing possible, and really kind of showcase what's capable in the print medium. So we're getting better at it. The second one, I think we did pretty good. And
I love how the patches on the back of the second one were embossed on the back cover.
Well, I shot that, and you look at it on a 4K screen, and it was like, wow, you can almost feel those things. And we'd already had plans to do some embossing on the cover, and, realizing that that's essentially the same piece of cardboard being wrapped around from the cover to the back. Well, why don't we emboss the patches?
Yeah.
And so, Brett and I both like, well, that would be cool. And then I also thought, well, somebody's going to be holding the magazine, they're looking at the cover, and their fingers are going to feel that back and wonder what that is. And
curiosity, yeah.
So I think it was successful. You're not the first person who said that was one of the first things they noticed. So I'm really happy, because I thought it was a good idea.
Right on. Well, the cool thing is that those patches, the fact that it was tactile, I grew up with those patches, seeing those patches on my dad's jacket, or having them float around on his office desk, like those, I saw and touched and felt those things. I'm mad at myself today for all the things that I have hoarded. Some of that stuff that would be so easy to store and not take up a lot of space somehow has slipped through my fingertips. But, you a good job of reenacting it on the back of Dusty Times 02.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I remember those patches, and not just from off-road racing too, but patches were so big, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
And BMX racing and all the things that I was around back then. In fact, we talked about scuba diving. I was always so excited every time I got a new certification, you'd get a patch that announced,
right.
Hey, I'm a rescue diver. I'm a research diver. I've got that certificate now. And
I just watched my son get his first stripe on his belt at his jiu-jitsu class yesterday.
Rad.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And it's the same thing with scouting, those patches. Patches were always so big, and, a lot of people in our generation remember them. But I was lucky to find a guy who had a huge collection of those. Dennis Sletton has a big collection.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a bunch of patches, and then also there's the spread that has that driver packet from the 1970s,
right.
Baja 500. That was something he had complete. It's got all the stuff in it still and everything. It was like, wow, what a time capsule! I had to shoot that, and he has some other stuff that we may see in future issues that I won't talk about quite yet. But it's great that that stuff now is all of a sudden is getting highly revered, and it's awesome to see that and to recognize that. It's a way for me to recognize what Dusty Times used to be. Again, that's kind of a little tip of the hat, to have those patches on the back, that we haven't forgotten where Dusty Times came from.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, man, when I first heard that it was happening, my thought was, man, that's a bold move, because to so many, it is an institution that has, there's a diehard following. So you get one shot to push the diehards away and or earn their respect. And I think you earned their respect. You earned my respect with it. So.
Well, I appreciate it. I honestly was pretty fucking nervous when we were coming out with the first one. And every time I encounter, like I said, every now and then I do encounter people who are like, oh, how come this? How come that? Well, why does it look like this? Why does it look like that? It's tough for me. It's hard for me to explain myself. But
it's the modern saying, haters are going to hate.
Sure. Yeah, whatever. But I think it was very daunting. I was very, very nervous about it because, again, that's why, we had to recognize with, that we wrote on the front pages. And, we recognized that it was super, super popular. Very, very critical that we didn't fuck it up, So anyhow.
Right on. Well, hey, man, this has been a pretty cool conversation. I'm curious to know and I'm sure there's things you can't share with me, but where's Boy Jaynes going next? What's on the horizon for him? Not can't share, but tell me.
Shoot, I'm going to go race Nora again this year. Maybe we'll see that Bronco race somewhere soon. Maybe. Dusty Times, hopefully we'll keep on doing it. It's a kind of a year by year basis with that. And, I'm hoping they're still happy with what we've been doing and that we'll get signed on again here in the next few weeks to do another issue. Been shooting a lot, doing a lot of different projects, working with some pretty exciting companies coming up this year in 2020, not just shooting for them, but also as something of a brand ambassador. Which is exciting.
Well, I was going to ask you, actually, we still have a little bit of time left on my counter here, so I don't want to go beyond because I don't want to take up more time than I asked for. But
that's fine.
As a photographer, in some capacity, unless you've got residual sales from prints online or something, you're only making money when you're shooting pictures. So how do you reconcile that as you get older and start looking for ways to potentially continue to earn a living without having to always be behind the lens? Or is that what you want? Are you going to be shooting pictures until you can't walk?
I would think that I would be making images, and these days there's really, really a very, very thin, blurry line between still photos and motion pictures.
Right.
So I would say that doing more motion pictures is definitely in the cards, and every year it seems to take up a bigger percentage of what I do. You really do have to diversify. There's no way, there's not many guys who can shoot every single day. And especially doing the kind of work that I do, there's a lot of traveling involved, and there's a lot of being away from home. And even if you were lucky enough to be working a lot, that could be a tough life to have, So you gotta find a good balance, and definitely there's opportunity if you're smart to get what I like to call mailbox money, And, licensing images has always been a big part of what photographers do. And my business is no different than that, licensing photos. These days, the demand for content has never been greater. So
voracious demand. Yeah.
The opportunity for that is great. However, unfortunately, because of the volume that's necessary, companies are less likely to want to pay for images, which is terrible, but that is definitely status quo now.
Yeah.
It's always a struggle to try and educate people on what the value of the image is. But yeah, I think that I've got my fingers in a lot of different things, and I hope to not have to go get a real job.
Well, it's worked for you so far.
Right? It sounds like you just got a new real job. How about I flip this around on you? This is
Interview the interviewer?
Yeah, it's like exit for the gift shop. I'm going to be Banksy now, and I'm going to interview you.
Well, hold on 1 second. Before we do that, let's at least give people that are interested in Boy Jaynes How do we find out more about you? Do you got a website? Where is it? And Dusty Time, just go ahead and throw that out there as well.
Yeah, dustytimes.com. You can go out and order an issue, help support us. Like I said, there's no advertising in there. We rely on people buying the magazines. Like I said, dustytimes.com. We actually have 2-for-1 right now. If you buy issue 2, you get issue 1 at the same time, which is for free, which is awesome. You get a jump start on a collecting. And my website is boydphoto.com. You can check that out. I'm also on Instagram at theboydphoto. You can also check out our racing endeavors on Instagram at Caballo del Diablo on Instagram, and that's CABALLODEL Diablo Diablo.
You said that a few times. And I will also throw in there that you could meet you can meet the team in person in Ensenada in is it May?
End of April.
End of April. You can't come to NORA and miss them. They will stand out. There's no way you can be there and not see them in some capacity somewhere.
Yeah, come on down, and if you're looking for a sticker, you're going to be disappointed. We give out matchbooks only.
not the kind of people you want your daughter to bring home for on a date.
I was about to say, kids love it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, right on, man. Yes, I've shifted professional gears. This will be the first podcast that's referenced, but I'm leaving Jackson Motorsports Group not because of anything other than just an opportunity to do something different and expand my horizons with Dave Cole at Ultra 4, and I'm super excited about it. Today we're the 19th or the 20th of December right now, so I got about another 10 days of employment at Jackson Motorsports, and then I assume the role of president at Ultra 4. And that does not mean, by the way, that Dave Cole is stepping out or stepping away. As he likes to say it, he needs some adult supervision, which it seems odd that I'm being tasked with adult supervision.
Did he bring you in to help him find that, or
I don't know. Or make a bigger target for the adult when they're looking for the kids? I don't know. No, I'm excited about it, and I think I have a lot of respect for what Dave has built. I also have a lot of respect, without really knowing, and I've been very upfront about this. I don't have deep roots in the rock racing, crawling culture, or jeeping for that matter. I grew up with sand buggies and dune buggies and off-road race cars, but we make dust. Doesn't matter where, we make dust, and that's a very strong bond. But the other part of it is that
you just encapsulate dust of time.
I know, and we
all make dust.
The cool thing too, it's funny. I told Cameron I used to have a vanity plate that was Dust Maker, DST MKR, that I had it on my pre-run truck, or my daily driver truck and pre-run truck. But anyway, and that whole thing encapsulates kind of what the Baja Sessions is to me. I mean, it's a connection to something that then becomes a much bigger net of friends and acquaintances and so on. So, but the other thing about Ultra 4, and then I'm gonna sign off here with you, is that the racer, for the most part, is still super involved with all aspects of it. They go out and camp, right? They're not staying in high-dollar hotels. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I'm juxtaposing kind of where the sport that I've been most involved with is today. That there's still the grassroots guys that are they're the ones working on their cars in their garage like you guys do. But it appears to me that that's the majority of the Ultra 4 competitor roster, which is cool because that's the real stuff, you know. And I'm down with that.
100%. I agree with you. I enjoy that about that part of our space, the Ultra 4 crowd and the rock racing crowd. That they are they're true enthusiasts who probably got there because they had a Jeep they were driving on trails anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
And they it's somewhat more blue collar, and but like you said, they're out there in the dirt doing that, man,
living it. Yep. And
they are.
I got no problem with that. I'm good with that. I like to live in the dirt too, and that's a good sign off right there. Let's live in the dirt together.
Right, let's live in dirt. We all know you're a dirty dog.
Yeah. Well, right on, man. Hey, I want to thank you for taking the time. I happy holidays to you. Say hello to your wonderful wife.
You too, and your amazing little